Yo, what is going on, NFL fans? In today's episode, we're going to break down the 2024 NFL Draft for the Detroit Lions. We're going to mock draft all 7 rounds, so let's get into it. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm doing all kinds of NFL draft coverage on individual teams and big, broad mock drafts. So if you like mock drafts and you like NFL content, subscribe to the channel. All right, let's break down the Detroit Lions draft for 2024. All right, Lions fans, let's do this. In the 2024 draft, they drafted 29, 61, 73, 164, and had 3 picks in the 200s. The Lions haven't drafted this late in a draft in quite some time, but the board looks really good to them. To me, this first-round pick either has to be a corner, a number 2 wide receiver, and they also need help at safety and another edge rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson. But I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is too good to pass up. Look at this, 88 this year, 82 the year before that, and he plays so many snaps, over 800 snaps the last 2 years at Alabama, 6'1", 195. He's only 21, so that's great too. For me, the Lions, if Kool-Aid McKinstry is on the board at 29, you got to draft Kool-Aid McKinstry. Don't even think about it. The Lions are up again, round 2, pick 29, and the board fell pretty decent to the Lions again at this pick. I'm circling Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker from Texas A&M, who's unbelievably talented, and then Xavier Legette, the wide receiver from South Carolina. The Lions do have Jameson Williams on their roster, who was the number 12 pick in 2022, but he hasn't been super productive. So bringing in another number 2 receiver is really interesting, guys. Xavier Legette, 82.5 grade this year, 1,255 yards. He's a bit of a late bloomer. He didn't play too well his first 2 years for the Gamecocks, but man, look at these intangibles. 6'3", 227. This guy is an absolute monster. Some of the other positions I've identified as needs are safety, edge defender opposite Aiden Hutchinson, interior defensive line, and wide receiver number 2. Bring in Xavier Legette, that big, tall monster of a guy on the outside. Amon-Ra St. Brown is like 6 foot, so he's not super huge, and he lines up like 50% between the slot and outside, and this gives you a true outside receiver. Xavier Legette is my number 2 pick for the Lions in the second round. We're picking 10 picks later, so let's see who's left on the board. All right, Lions fans, round 3, pick 9. This pick came over from Minnesota. Where do we go from here? I like addressing edge at this point in the draft, and Gabriel Murphy seems to be the best value at the position in the middle of the 3rd round. He's got pretty much over an 80 grade all 3 years at UCLA, and he's only had like a couple dud games in the whole season. 85.3 grade, 87 pass rush grade, pretty good against the run too. Pass rush win rate is solid as well. This guy is just as good as it gets as an edge defender. And if you put him opposite Aiden Hutchinson, it's really going to take some pressure off of Aiden Hutchinson. Gabriel Murphy projects as that specialized outside linebacker type. He's got really good bend, a really quick first step, and I like pairing him up with Aiden Hutchinson. Gabriel Murphy is my pick in the 3rd round for the Lions. The Lions, unfortunately, do not have a 4th round pick, so as we enter the 5th round, we got to try to find some value here, guys. All right, now we're in the 5th round. Almost the 6th round, round 5, pick 29, but there's still some value on the board, and I really like linebacker J.D. Bertrand from Notre Dame. 82 grade this year, 82 against the pass, 77 against the rush. It's pretty solid 70 grade in coverage, but for pretty much a 6th round pick, 6'1", 233, it says Bertrand is tough, smart, and competitive. This is the guy you want to draft in the 5th round. He can kind of enter that rotation at linebacker. Besides Anzalone, there's some depth to be had at the linebacker position. So let's add him to that room. He can also contribute on special teams. I love JD going in the 5th round to the Lions. Round 6, pick 25 for the Lions. This late in the draft, you want to try to find some diamonds in the rough. And I think Trey Taylor from Air Force could be that guy. 89 coverage grade, 72 against the run, but pretty consistent player all 3 years in college. 75, 80, 83. And he's increased his snap count every single year. 50 tackles, Another 21 assisted tackles. He needs a little help with, tackling a little bit. The missed tackle rate at 12% is not ideal, right? But he's got good size, 6 foot 210. This is a position of need for the Lions, and this guy has a pretty good, solid pedigree over his time at Air Force, right? 89 coverage grade. You can't really teach that, man. And pretty much over a 75 grade every single year. The dude's consistent for pretty much a 7th round pick. This seems like a pretty big steal in the draft to me for the Lions. When you're picking towards the end of the 6th round, you want to find value, and Brennan Jackson, the edge defender from Washington State, gives us that kind of value. 82 grade last year, 9 sacks, 26 hurries, 76 grade against the pass, 78 against the run. This dude's pretty solid, and if you look, he had good games against good schools. 80 grade against Cal, a 77 grade against UCLA. He played big programs and had pretty solid games. 6'4", 264. Let's add a little more edge depth to this team. All right, we're getting towards the end of the draft here, guys, but that doesn't mean you can't find value, and I think we found some great value in Josiah Ezerim, the tackle from Eastern Kentucky. He's not quite Mr. Irrelevant, but we're getting pretty close, but he was incredible last year, guys. He played almost 800 snaps, allowed 0 sacks, 84 grade. He played some pretty good teams, too, if you look who he played. Run block grade 84, pass block grade 80, zone block grade 86.5. This dude's a stud. 6'6", 320, great tackle size. Offensive line is not a need for the Detroit Lions, but if you can find a diamond in the rough like Ezerim to get coached up by some of these incredible offensive linemen that the Detroit Lions have, it's a no-brainer. Ezerim is our 7th round pick for the Detroit Lions. All right, Lions fans, we went Kool-Aid McKinstry with our 1st round pick. Super solid pick. Then Xavier Legette, the big, powerful wide receiver from South Carolina. A lot of people are comparing him to DK Metcalf. And then Gabe Murphy, the edge defender from UCLA. I love that pick as well. Then we go J.D. Bertrand, the linebacker from Notre Dame. Trey Taylor, the safety from Air Force. And then Brennan Jackson, the edge defender from Washington. I think we absolutely crushed this draft, guys. Then we got Josiah Ezerim, who I think is a steal. I picked 249. I love this draft for the Detroit Lions. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like this draft? Do you think that if the Lions got a draft haul like this, fans would be happy? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.